What's up, guys? So I was watching the prequel to the Hunger Games movies, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it's about Coriolanus Snow, who would later become President Snow, who is a really evil villain. But even though he's really evil, there are still 5 things I really respect about him, and I think they're 5 really good traits to have, especially if you have goals you want to achieve. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for some reason I kind of root for the villains, just for the fact that, the whole world's rooting against them, but, they're still going after the goals. And for some reason, they just seem a lot more charismatic, just because of the fact they're usually more committed to their goals than the protagonists usually are. For one, they just seem to make harder sacrifices. For example, like these 2 people, they sacrificed their looks for their mission. And also, even if the whole world's against them, they're still committed to their goals. Even the UFC villain, like Chael Sonnen, he played the character of a bad guy, and he was still committed to his goal of becoming a champion, even though a large part of the MMA community didn't like him and would say bad things about him. Also, they don't seem to complain as much as the heroes do. Like, they seem to figure out a way to get things done better and more efficiently. Now, when it comes to young President Snow, one thing I really liked about him was in the opening scene. It just showed him on his bed scheming and, thinking about the day ahead. I just think it's really respectable that the first thing he does when he wakes up is related to his goals. And if you watch the movie, his goals were getting more powerful so he could make more money for his family. But him focusing on his goals first thing in the morning is something I really respect, because oftentimes when I wake up, sometimes I grab my phone and just start focusing my attention on things that really have no effect on me, whether it's just shenanigans going on in the world or random stuff on TikTok or YouTube. Just focusing on stuff that's a lot less important to me than my goals. I've gotten a lot better at, not doom scrolling first thing in the morning, but it's still something that needs work. And if you watch videos from Andrew Huberman and Jocko Willink like me, you know how important your morning is, since it sets up the rest of your day. And the days where I don't doom scroll and do something productive instead, I usually find I have a much better and more productive day. I also like the fact that he was waking up early. What I'd do in high school was wake up last minute and I'd be rushing and scrambling. And because of that, throughout the day, I'd just feel really messy. But in college, I'd wake up early and before class, I'd get a workout in, I'd read the Bible, eat a good breakfast. So by the time I go to class, I just feel like I've got a whole bunch of stuff done. So I could confidently say you feel a lot better if you have a nice and productive morning. For example, my brother recently started doing jujitsu in the morning, and he told me that he feels a lot better when he goes to work when he does do the jujitsu in the morning. And recently he hasn't, because he's been working on other things, but he's still getting something productive done in the morning, and I'm sure he feels good because of it. But yeah, I just find it really respectable the way young President Snow sets up his day. So I have an MMA coach who tells me I need to decide who I want to be and just do the things that that person does. Even when he was really poor, he still did a lot of things that the person he wanted to be, which is a rich person, does. And one thing I thought was really crazy is that, I have a friend from Switzerland who recommended me this book, and this is like one of the books he lives his life by. And a lot of the things Snow was doing was actually in this book. For example, his body language. In the book, it talked about how your attitude determines your body language, which people know. For example, if you're feeling shy, you're going to be a little bit reserved or hunched shoulders looking at the floor kind of thing. But if you're more confident, you might be like more out and, standing up straight and whatnot. And one thing you may have heard before is that it actually goes the other way around also. So not only does your attitude determine your body language, but your body language can determine your attitude. That's why they tell MMA fighters when they're walking out to walk out with your head up high and, looking confident, even if you're not feeling like that person in the current moment, because acting like that person might help you become that person. Another thing this book mentioned, which Coriolanus was doing, was that he was walking fast when he was walking to school. I don't know if the director told the actor to do this so he comes off as more confident, or to set the scene, or if he was just doing it. But in here it said you should walk 25% faster when you're walking to somewhere important, because it lets your mind know that, you have somewhere important to be and that you're not afraid of it, like you're ready to attack it and whatnot. And last thing which you've probably heard is you look good, you feel good. And he made sure he had his cousin make him a nice shirt before his big day. And it's something I personally need to work on. Like, sometimes I don't put much effort into my outfits, but when I do, I feel a lot more confident. And also just, with my grooming habits, like if you look at me right now, I'm in need of a haircut and maybe a good shave. And I know for a fact if I took better care of myself, I'd feel more confident. So yeah, just something I need to work on. But anyways, really like that President Snow carried himself as the person he wants to be. So this one's obvious, but I thought I should mention it anyways. If you have goals you want to achieve, you need to put in a little bit extra work. For example, if you're an athlete and you want to do good, you need to put in the extra workout or do a couple extra reps. Or if you want better grades to what you've been getting, you need to study a little bit extra. Everyone's already aware of this, but it's something, President Snow was doing in the movie. He did things like greet his tribute with a rose, which no one else did. And that really reminded me of a quote my professor told me. He said, if your boss asks for a rose, you should bring a bouquet. Just saying you should, do extra to what people expect from you. And, he did the tasks no one else did, like going into the arena to save Sargenas, which his professor asked him to do. But yeah, everyone knows going the extra mile and doing the things other people don't want to do is important for achieving your goals. So in the movie, when he found out his friend Sargenas was communicating with rebels, he kind of had to snitch on him, which later ended up getting him killed. And he was really sad by it, but he knew that getting home to his family was more important than his friendship with Sargenas. Everyone's heard this in like every self-help book, every piece of advice, like all athletes say, you gotta make sacrifices. Obviously this is an extreme example, but it is a example. This really reminded me of one of my football coaches. He would tell us a story about a sacrifice he had to make. When he was in college, he was trying to go to the NFL, but he was hanging out with some friends that, would just do drugs, drink, and smoke weed all day. And the stuff that they were doing was different to the stuff that he wanted to do, like train to go to the NFL and whatnot. So he did have to sacrifice them in a sense by, not hanging out with them anymore. His friends obviously didn't get hung like Sargenas, but like President Snow, he did have to sacrifice some friends to achieve his goals. And in Magic of Thinking Big and literally every other self-help book you'll read, like it will say, your environment is everything. And you've probably heard that you are the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and things like that, like birds of a feather flock together. And yeah, me personally, I do believe that's true. And most of the time you aren't too close with the friends that you don't want to be like. So, it shouldn't be too hard of a task. Unlike this guy's situation, because, Sargenas was actually a really good dude if you watched the movie. And I thought it was a tiny bit messed up when he did this because, good friends don't really grow on trees. So I think if you do have a good friend like Sargenas, you should appreciate them a little bit more and not like send them to the hanging tree. But that's just my opinion. Now, last thing is just dealing with heartbreak. So I turned 22 this month, and if you're around my age, you've probably had your heart broken at one point in your life. Like Lucy Gray said, you find out the girl you're talking to was not made of sugar. But I think just understanding that the goals you wanted to achieve are still there, even if your girl leaves, whether it's you wanting to go to a certain college for academics or sports, or you trying to make a certain amount of money, it's still there. And if your whole life revolved around a girl and you didn't have any goals or a purpose in the first place, I do think that was a little bit of a problem. Like, I think everyone needs goals just to guide them in the decisions they make and the things that they do. Me personally, when I started making goals, I felt a lot less lost in life, and I think most people can say the same. But in this guy's case, he got sad and went crazy a little bit when it happened, but he still had his family, and he even later on became president, so it all worked out for him in the end. So these are just some traits that President Snow had that will help anyone achieve their goals. And now that I've made this video, I feel like I'm held more accountable now to make the sacrifices and do the right things in the morning, since, I'm the one talking about it. And I can't be suggesting it to people if I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and be better. Right now, my goals are to get better at martial arts and to get better at making YouTube videos. And with YouTube right now, I'm just trying to get better and better with each video. And my long-term goal is I genuinely want to help people. So I'm not too worried about getting clicks or getting subscribers right now. I'm just more concerned about, the quality of my videos and the quality of what I say. But eventually I do want to build an audience because I've always wanted to create a product and give it to people. Like, I journal a lot, so I've always been interested in, making notebooks for people. And I've been interested in nutrition for a while now, so I've wanted to make my own honey or my own beef tallow or my own dark chocolate. So yeah, that's another long-term goal of mine. Of course, it's not as exciting as becoming president of Pan Am, but, it still means a lot to me. But as of right now, just trying to get better and better and better with each video. And it's something I think I've done. Like, if you watch my first video, the Ray Lewis deck of cards workout, which I'll link somewhere here, I feel like I sound a lot better and present my ideas a lot better. But yeah, you should check that one out. It's actually a great workout to do if, you're on your villain arc and you want to get a workout in listening to sad music, at nighttime, which I don't recommend doing, but if you were gonna do it, this would be a really good workout to do. So yeah, check that one out if you have time. And even though it's not my goal to get views or likes or subscribes, it still means a lot if you do subscribe or do leave a like or a comment. So I really would appreciate if you did that, but thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.